Hey everyone, welcome to another episode of Pointy Chins, where I'm taking you through my journey to discover a style that is really cool. And I promise you, I will, eventually. But for now, I am just fumbling in the dark. And that's the title of this episode. And what does it mean? What does it mean when I say fumbling in the dark? Well, the obvious thing is that I am still sort of not sure where I'm going, what shapes work. You see I'm doing this body. This is getting better. It's getting closer. But the reason I call this episode Fumbling in the Dark is because I don't have a visual memory. So things like, you'll hear some artists talk about how they have visual memories, and a lot of my friends and my peers, when they close their eyes, for instance, they can see images in their mind. I don't have that. And so I was thinking about it. Well, what do you do if you don't have a visual memory or a strong visual memory? Because it does get a little better over time as I draw more. But it's still very weak, especially when it comes to things like drawing faces. I'm still very much lost. And so I thought of it like this. Okay, a normal person, a person with a visual memory, they walk into a room and they see the room for what it is with their eyes. That's how they perceive the room. So imagine you go in that room and you're blind. You don't see anything. Well, what are you going to do? Well, you're going to be fumbling in the dark, but you're going to be touching things, right? You'll use your other senses. So what I'm doing with this experimentation process is sort of that. I'm touching everything in the room. And so it's like, I'll try this style, I'll try that style, I'll try this shape and that shape. Does this work? Does that work? Without looking at reference, without looking at other people's things. And what I'm doing is I'm building a picture with feeling instead of with sight. I'm using my touch perception to build an image of what is in this room. But because I'm using my hands and not just my vision, I can actually feel like, let's say I touch a book, I can feel the backside, or any object, I can feel all around it. So in the beginning, it's very slow, like this, just, what am I doing? Am I pushing things like this? Do I like drawing hair like that? Same with this thing. What is it? Who knows? But eventually, when I do have this room built in my mind, I will really know this room better than someone who sees, because I will know what the back looks like. And when it comes to style, that means I'm not just looking at an artist whose style is close to mine and copying that and saying, cool, I've copied from you and now I'm building on top of what you know. Or I like anime, so I'm going to draw anime. It's like, no, I'm going to figure out why. Why do they make eyes this big? Or noses like this, or chins like this? Like, why? And I will understand it. That's the dream. That's the goal. So this was done for a spit paint challenge that some members of my forum were involved in. And this was done, I don't know. This is September 14th. I think this was done on my companion, my Cintiq companion. And this one is drawn, I think I was on the plane when I drew this one. And so I was drawing in my sketchbook now. And you can see the date, September 15th up there. And so this was very difficult because I hadn't drawn much traditionally for a while. And it was like, oh, yeah, this is a thing. And then when I landed, I brought my companion with me. So I did this on the companion. And I don't know. I guess it's just me, but I don't enjoy drawing on the companion or painting on the companion. I find that I am just not getting the resolution that I want to get. But I know a lot of people really like the companion, so I don't know. I don't know what to say. I guess it's just personal preference. And so because I didn't like the companion much, I went back to drawing on paper with pen. And still experimenting. Okay, so some of the experiments are something, and some of it is just not pure experimentation, because I'm doing this every single day, right? And so you probably, if you draw a lot, you know that you'll have good days and bad days, and some days I don't even want to draw. So this is, it's September 17th, so I took a trip to Romania, and hence the plane. And so I want to spend time doing other things, not necessarily drawing too much. But I keep to this draw every day. And it's something I encourage people to do because when you draw every day, then you're somebody who draws every day. Like, even if you just draw for 30 seconds, you are somebody who draws every single day. And that sort of changes your mindset. Well, it does for me anyway, this idea, because I've been drawing every single day without fail since, I think, 2003. So it was just this thing of, you start doing it, and as long as you don't put in this this idea of, oh, but I need to draw for an hour, or I need to draw for 2 hours, I can draw for 5 minutes, and it still counts, or 5 seconds if it's a worst case scenario. I know one day I was super depressed. Like, it was really bad, and I just couldn't manage more than an X, and I called that a drawing. And that's the worst it's ever been. But the point is, you're drawing every day. This is a mental thing. This is telling you that I am someone who does this. And then you're more likely to do more rather than less. Because if I didn't do this, if I didn't have this I draw every day, and if this didn't become a habit, because now it's very much a habit. I have to draw every day. It would feel very strange not to do that. But if I didn't have this, then it's much easier to slip and not draw for 2 days, not draw for 3 days. Because then, if I don't draw every day, then I'm someone who draws sometimes. And I don't want to be someone who draws sometimes. I want to be someone who draws every day. So, I don't know if that makes any sense to you. But hey, here's some figure drawings. And it's getting better, it's getting better, it's getting more lines. And when I say it's getting better, I mean it's getting closer to what I don't want to say see in my head, because I don't really see it in my head. If I saw it in my head, that would be a bit easier, because then it's like, oh, just make it look like that. Instead, it's a searching process, where I don't see it, but I feel like it's got to make sense to me. I'll know it when I see it. I know the characteristics of what it is. So, again, this is another day where I guess technically I'm on vacation, and so things are more like, I don't want to necessarily be drawing, and I think I just cut off a portion and did as much as I could in that day. And so they're just scribbles of whatever, you know. They've still got, this guy's got a pointy chin, this guy doesn't really, but hey, it's something, right? It's something to be doing. And yeah, more things. I'm really not happy with these. Try and explain why. Well, this has this point down, the mouth is going down, the chin's going down. I guess this is an experiment as well. But I don't like the proportions. I don't like how I don't feel the cranium. And this is a very flat image. And maybe it's annoying for me to explain this. I don't know. I guess you can write in the comments if this is annoying or not, because I'm talking about my process, and I understand that there's many people who, because I was at this stage too, they wish they could draw at this level. And they might look at this and be like, but that's already so good, why are you tearing it apart? And the reason is, and this will happen to you too, if you keep drawing, your eye is going to get better. So as you improve, you'll look at things, and where you once saw something that looks really good, you'll start to look at it and be like, that's really messed up. That's not good at all, or it has a lot of errors, and maybe this part is good, but that part's not very good. So, still playing around, more figure drawings. I like this one quite a bit. It's very angular, I had a comment from someone saying, why am I doing all these pointy things? I should have, instead of angles, I should have curves as well, or rounder shapes. And I agree. It's a good idea, but it's more like I want to push it as far as I can. I want to take this to its natural end with the pointy things. How pointy can you get? How do you deal with a circle if you do pointy shapes? Like, that to me is an interesting question, and I'm actually going to solve it later on. So stick with me if this is interesting to you, because we'll figure stuff out together. And yeah. Okay, so this one, I'm not happy with this because I don't like the head size, and there's not a good gesture. You should start with a gesture, and I think in this case I wasn't starting with a gesture. But this is going somewhere. This idea of, instead of doing these finished illustrations, like, this isn't finished, this is still super sketchy, but by comparison, this is nothing. What is this? This is like a thumbnail, just a quick gesture. It's a bit, almost a stick figure, but this has something to it because what I'm able to do now is see bigger shapes. Instead of worrying about details, I'm worrying about the big form. And so here, again, these smaller drawings, I think, are helping me much more, and I will deviate from this and go into other things. And I'm also getting a lot more confident with pen. It's even here, it's still difficult for me, but it's better. And I like this figure. I'm pushing it a lot, of course. I don't think the model had those super broad shoulders, but it's going somewhere. Okay, and here too, I really dislike this character because of, I don't know how to explain it, but the proportions are off. It feels like this arm is just jammed into his head. Like, where's the trapezius? Where's the neck? How does this all connect? Doesn't make sense. I think I started with probably this guy, and then I wanted to do some expressions, so I did this guy, and then I thought, okay, what if I take this guy right here and I make him smile, but I sort of caricature it, and I got this, like, pushing it very wide and making everything very wide, and I thought, that's cooler. Like, this, even with this beard, it's much more of a simple shape. That's so much cooler than this, which is sort of ambiguous. And cooler to me, but in my eyes, everything that I'm saying is in my opinion. This is way cooler than this. And then I did them together because, you know, romance. And I like this hand. And I don't know if I did this from reference. I think I might have done this without reference. Yeah, I think so, because I remember feeling pretty good about that hand. And usually when I do it from reference, I don't feel good about it. I just feel like, well, sure, it's okay, but only because I had reference. So here we are at September 30th, 2014, and still, you know, playing around with shapes. And this one's much more rounded. Okay, how do I go about doing things? But you'll see that there's more of a trend of one direction. And this is what I really want to show, is how nothing happens overnight. So sometimes I'll see people and they say, well, I'm experimenting with my style. How can you look at it and give me some tips? And I look at it and it's like 1 or 2 drawings. And it's like, what do you mean experimenting with your style? Like, for me to get where I am, because people will look at my style now. And I had a lot of detractors. I had a lot of people in the beginning when I said, I'm going to work on my style. I want to develop this cool style. And they would tell me, like, why? Don't. Style comes naturally. Just draw, and this will naturally happen. And I thought, sorry, still a bit sick. But I thought, okay, fine. Style happens naturally if I want to draw realistically. Because what do I see in my head whenever... Because I was drawing a lot. I've been drawing for years and years and years and years. So what was happening is I would always draw realistically, and it's like, is that my style? Is that what I want? No, but because I don't see things in my head, this is what comes out. I just look at what I see and like, oh, okay, draw what I see. When I was studying caricature, it was a bit more interesting because I was learning how to caricature, but it's not like that was my style. Because I would look at caricature artists and be like, how did you know how to push this? How did you know to push, like even this image, right? Because I did this guy in front view. No, I did this one in side view and then I did it in front view. But how did you know how to push these shapes? Because when I see a face, I don't see this. A lot of my friend Will Terrell is a great example of someone who he captures these shapes when he sees people. I never did. And I didn't even know how to do that. Like, I don't see people like that. I just see them as they are. And so when I learned caricature, it was more learning formulas, learning, oh, this is how you see that. This is how you get to that. This is how you take a photo and you can push the body, push the face, push the proportions, and end up with a result. So it's much more about thinking than just, oh, I felt this and this is where I went. So, okay, so there's that side. And then there's, okay, sure, I could just keep drawing and I naturally, I suppose, get a bit more of a style. But what if I want a very extreme style? Like, what if I want to draw like an anime-ish, but in my style, whatever that is, and I have my own ideas and inspirations and influences, or people I look up to. What if I want to do that? How do I get there? And I keep mentioning this about The Simpsons. Like, I don't think Matt Groening, the creator of The Simpsons, saw people and saw them as yellow. I think, well, I know that was a conscious decision because he wanted his characters to really stand off the screen or stand out. So this is a conscious decision as well. So yeah, sure, there's some of it that's natural, but some of it's conscious. So it's like then people were like, okay, don't focus on this style. But then when I started working on it, there was this thing of, this is looking bad, go back to your painting, stop dicking around, stop trying these experiments. But as I, like now, when I show my work, there's very few people who think it's bad. A lot of people will say, I like the style now, this is very cool, this is unique and stuff. And it's like, but it doesn't happen overnight. And so some people may be a little bit annoyed with this, where it's like, it's the same thing over and over again. But to that, I would just say, yeah, but this is the stuff you don't see anyway. And you might look at someone who has a cool style and then, whatever. So, okay, so this is October 3rd, and I'm back in Vancouver at this time. And so I had my Cintiq 22 HD to work with. And so drawing on that again. And tried some painting. And this is Gianluca Mattia's. It's a copy of his work because he had like this shiny thing, and tried this, and it's like, what is going on? Well, this is anatomy issues, but again, not happy with it. And then I realized I like drawing on paper more with ink. Why don't I do that? And this is another very important day for me in drawing because of this. I mentioned before that I had drawn those smaller stick figures, and that was a big deal. And this is a bigger deal because here I'm really honing in on a shape language. Okay, so males, you have this big triangle, but a smaller box. And then for women, it's like a box and then a triangle, but it's inverted. And of course, these are generalizations and they're stylizations. This isn't everyone looks like this. This isn't like some kind of commentary on reality. What I am trying to do is find a standard, find an ideal, and I'm doing air quote, ideal body type. Ideal in my mind, not anyone else's mind. Because what we do as artists when we try and learn traditionally is the first thing you do with the figure is you learn the proportions, and you tend to work off a figure that is 7.5 heads tall or 8 heads tall, a very idealized figure. It's not a figure that is what everybody looks like, but it's one that's sort of in the middle, and it's sort of beautiful, like a bit more beautiful than perhaps and beautiful, I don't know. Again, this is what it's supposed to be, because I don't really find that figure as appealing. But anyway, it's supposed to be beautiful, so that what happens is you have a measure of what this is average. Okay, this is where we start, and then everything else is a deviation. But you have to start somewhere. And I figure if I have my standard, my boring male and female figure, and they're already really interesting, really far from normal proportions, then when I deviate, it's only going to be more interesting. I like this thing. Anyway, so this is my thought process. And so this to me is very helpful. This looks ridiculous, granted. I understand that. But again, it's playing around with shapes and realizing, okay, so there is an underlying structure that can guide me. Once I have these principles, I could make something in between these two, right? So if this is very masculine and this is very feminine, well, if I wanted a woman then to be more masculine, well, just shrink this and make this the shoulders wider, make the hips thinner, right? So same with the man. I want him to look more feminine or effeminate. So yeah, more drawing in pen and starting to really enjoy this whole pen thing. It's feeling like I don't want to draw on my my Cintiq much anymore. I do for work, but it's quickly becoming like only for work. So here again, drawing the same thing. So it's not enough to discover something. Like, okay, you figured out this proportion that you like. Then you have to do repetition. You have to draw it over and over and over again, because what you want to do is ingrain it in your muscle memory. You want it so you're just not having to think about it. You just do it. And so, again, working with this time I made the hips on the woman a lot thinner just to see, like, what's that like? I made the shoulders super wide because I think it's a good idea to play with it that way. Take it too far and then dial it back. So yeah, doing more and some more small figures, and this guy, I guess, is an expression of maybe it was very frustrating for me. Because this does take a lot of mental energy, even though it doesn't look like it does. It's a lot of thinking. And here's some figure drawing from a male figure drawing tutorial. And I'm really annoyed with YouTube because I did a male figure drawing and a female figure drawing, and YouTube made it so the female figure drawing is age restricted, but the male one isn't, or vice versa. I don't remember. One of them is age restricted. It wasn't me. It was YouTube. Someone flagged it. And then what happens is I have to appeal it and say, this is artwork. It shouldn't be age restricted. But apparently enough people disagree. And so it's age restricted. So that was, because that was for a video, I was using digital again. So because this is not, yay, back to traditional. And more of the same. In fact, it's gonna be more of the same going on because I'm getting closer and closer to what I like. You'll see there's a lot more in common now. These shapes are starting to repeat. You don't see too much in terms of a completely different shape. Like, this is quite different, but it's a one-off. So is this. Because what'll happen is I'll start the drawing with energy, and then as I draw more and more, I get kind of tired, and then by the end it's like, well, I'm exhausted. And so, in the next episode, it's called Crickets, and you'll see why, but it's going to be a big jump, so this is going to be cool, and I hope this helped, and thanks for watching.